Fired up and ready to go. Let's fight. Let's fight. A very good evening to each and every one of you. Let's fight. Andrew Cuthbert, we see you there. Bantu King, we see you as well. We see you, Maureen Williams. John Jones, we see you there. We see you, Isabella Butters. We see you, Maureen, and all the other folks joining us across social media, folks. We got a lot to share with you. Let's get right to it this evening. We trust that you guys are well. Beatrice Selby, we see you. Dolly Anderson, we see you as well. Cheryl Ann Haywood. Diane Graves, Andy, we see you too. John Jones, we see you as well. Benita Elise Parker. Thomasina Ben, we see you there. Volmy Wilson, Gavin Holder, Roxana Dessa, Catherine, we see you. Folks, a very good evening to each and every one of you. We trust that you guys are well. Wherever you folks are joining us from, share the live, smash that emoji button for us. We'd be tremendously grateful. A lot to get through this evening, and we are ever thankful that you guys are joining us. Share the live as we come on, folks. Smash that emoji button for us. We want to make sure that all goes well at our end. Do smash that emoji button for us and share the live to a friend, send it to a frenemy. Even, folks, we got a lot to share with you guys, and we are ready to get right to it. We're fired up at our end, guys, and we are ready to go. We're ensuring that we shared to all the credible and valid places. We only want credible comments and valid viewers, folks. We got a lot to share with you, a lot to share with you. Like this morning, tell you from the word go, our entire program is focused on the Nigel Dharamlall rape scandal. That's what we focus on this evening, guys. That's what we're going to be talking about. We're happy that you folks are joining us across the many pages that you folks are joining us from this evening. Pace and power. You all know how we say at this end, folks. Share the live. We want to smash that emoji button so others get valid and credible information as well. Wilton Blue, we see you there. Renrick Ram, we see you as well. Godfrey Montaigne, we see you too, folks. We are happy that you folks are here with us wherever that you guys are joining us from this evening. And we did tell you while we're tracking this evening. Folks, welcome Cheryl Shiroda and Debbie Collins, Karen Thorne, and Carol Jacobs. This is what we're tracking tonight, folks. Good to have you, Yolanda and Magnell Barron. As we're coming on, folks, we have a bit of breaking news to share with you, folks. They're telling us that the Minister of Local Government and Regional Development, Mr. Nigel Dharamlall, was arrested by the police this afternoon as he turned himself, as he went to the police station, we were told, accompanied by his lawyer, and he's being represented, folks, by the law firm Hughes, Fields, and Stobie. And this is what we're coming. This is the breaking news we have as we are coming on. They're telling us that Minister Nigel Dharamlall, folks, who has been embroiled in this scandal with damning allegations of rape against his name. We're being told, folks, that he has been arrested. He was accompanied to the police station. He was accompanied to the police station by his attorneys. That is what we're hearing this evening, folks. And some of what we have, the Guyana Police Force has put out a statement. And in that statement, the Guyana Police Force is saying that they wish to inform that an investigation has been launched in relation to allegations of rape against Minister of Local Government, Mr. Nigel Dharamlall. That's part of what the statement reads here. As a consequence, they're telling us, on Monday, the 19th of June, Mr. Dharamlall presented himself at the Brickdam police station in the company of his attorney, as we said, where he was told of the allegation, the Guyana Police Force says, and subsequently arrested. The probe is ongoing. And that is what this press release out of the Guyana Police Force is telling us this evening, folks. That's what the press release is telling us, that the Minister of Local Government and Regional Development, Mr. Nigel Dharamlall, has been arrested, and of course, you know by now that he's being represented by Hughes, Fields, and Stobie, and we're being made to understand this evening that the law firm Hughes, Fields, and Stobie has advised their client to assert his right to remain silent. And that is part of what we're hearing this evening, that the law firm Hughes, Field, and Stobie, they have advised their client to assert his right to remain silent. That is part of what we're following this evening, folks. Just part of what we're following, and we are being told that he was guided accordingly. The client has asserted his right to remain silent, and of course, we saw a statement coming out of Hughes, Fields, and Stobie in the mid-morning pertaining to its representation of Mr. Dharamlall, Mr. Nigel Dharamlall, the Minister of Local Government and Regional Development, and News Source, Mr. Gordon Mosley from News Source, broke that story online, in which the law firm was advising members of the public to refrain from assertions and drawing conclusions. Folks, that is a part of what we are following this evening. Good folks, that's just part of what we are following. And in the course of today, there have been protests outside the Ministry of Local Government and Regional Development there in Kingston. I'm being advised there's another protest that is on tomorrow, folks. There's another protest that is on tomorrow, and this time I'm told it's going to be held in front of the Office of the President. Office of the President on Vicention Road. That's what I'm being told. That protest is going to be held tomorrow. That's what I'm advised. As I said, folks, today there was protest activity in front of the Ministry of Local Government. Of course, the minister has now been arrested. And folks, we have for you the opener tonight. We're going to take you back to some of what we saw out there at that protest today. And we're going to take you back to some of what we heard as well on the protest line in front of the Ministry of Local Government and Regional Development just today. Take a look and take a listen.
Nigel Dharamlall. Must go. Nigel Dharamlall. Must go. Nigel Dharamlall. Must go. Nigel Dharamlall. Must go.
Well, Sherrod, I'll tell you something. I was sent the 22-page missive last Wednesday night, Thursday morning. And I got together with a colleague of mine from the APNU, former Vice President Sidney Adikak, who, as we all know, used to be our Minister of Indigenous Peoples Affairs. And some of the things that we talked about, some of the primary things we talked about was maintaining privacy, because, you know, it's a 16-year-old Indigenous woman.
Correct.
And being a part of the culture, we recognize that if the case were not dealt with in a particular way, it could backfire on a lot of us who were intent on supporting and doing good and trying to get to a resolution, because we know the country we live in. We know that this is not the first time this gentleman has been accused of being involved in this. As a decades-long advocate for Indigenous rights, I myself have been privy to these allegations and accusations, and I've actually spoken to some victims of his in the past. However, we have never been able to get to this point. I think that we are at a breaking point, not only at that narrow level, but I think that this particular situation has brought us to a point which I alluded to about a month ago on my Facebook page. I called for a reset of all our priorities, and I emphasized that we needed to have a reset on the moral value that we articulate in public from top to bottom. Now, it is very clear to me that given the reaction of the President of Guyana, who was the primary recipient of the 20-page missive from the young lady, given the fact that he chose not to do the right thing, which in my mind was to immediately alert the Guyanese people. Secondly, given the fact that the young lady is still a minor, ensure that she got protection. 2, and 3, bring the police in to start the investigation together with social services, social protection. Now, I'm very happy that Minister Vindhya Prasad has chosen to do the right thing. And as a veteran on the political landscape, I have a very deep suspicion that the minister went out there as an independent operator. There is something that is telling me that she was not instructed to do an investigation. And I know the minister, and I know that she is a very good judge of the landscape. And I know that one of the things which is important to her is her own integrity as a politician. So I'm happy that she has come out. Now, having said all of that, I I am waiting with bated breath to see how the process will move itself forward, because we need to have an investigation. The president is flip-flopping, the president is obfuscating, the president is making statements to the effect that that implies to me that he still wants hard evidence. Now, what hard evidence could you have than a 22-page missive from a young lady who happens to be a graduate of the Bishop's High School, very articulate. I could have been her composition teacher. She was very rational. She was very logical, totally without emotion, straight to the facts. 22 pages of very detailed facts with accompanying text, accompanying photographs, accompanying evidence, accompanying voice notes, accompanying at the overarching level a sense of honesty and forthrightness, which the president should not have denied, which the president should not have tried to sweep under the rug. And now the thing has exploded in the face of the PPP. And the thing about it is that this situation has now become the vehicle which I feel the people of this country should use to take us into those areas where up to recently most of us have been fearful to enter, much less articulate in the way in which the young lady did. So let us wait and see. The police has taken the case in. I want to speak very quickly about the police. Superintendent Kemraj Shibaran is, in my mind, at this moment, if we were to do things correctly, in deep jeopardy. And I'll tell you why. He's first of all in professional jeopardy, but he's also in legal jeopardy. And that's a point I want to make, because that is a position antithetical to what the police force should represent. That statement which he signed, that we all have in the public sphere, in my mind, is evidence that he has colluded and conspired with the people who've been making decisions in government. And I do believe that in addition to pursuing the primary alleged predator, we also need to, at some stage of the process, deal with the police, represented in this instance by Superintendent Shibaran, from the position of law. I think that we have enough evidence to link him with the attempted conspiracy and cover-up of this very horrible situation. I'm not going to continue at this point in time, because there are other people who are waiting to make their comments. But I think that we are at a very important juncture in the history of our country.
Thank you so
very
much.
important juncture.
Thank you so much, my brother. For that.
Yes,
Thank
thanks
you.
a lot, Cheryl.
Great. All right, folks, that is part of what we saw during that protest, part of what we heard during that protest in front of the Ministry of Local Government and Regional Development in Kingston, Downtown Georgetown. Just today, we're going to have more on that protest for you. We also saw one of the former REOs of Region 2, Parmanan Prasad, protesting the minister and saying that the minister should go. We cannot encourage rape. We cannot condone rape. Some of what he was saying there, former Regional Executive Officer of Region 2, Mr. Parman Prasad, also was staging his own protest during the course of the last 24 hours. That is some of what we saw during the course of the day. But just in case, guys, some of you have been living on the rock for whatever reason, and you are not too clear with what's happening. Let's take you back over the last 72 hours very quickly. We do know that an indigenous teenager, 16 years old, she was 15 at the time, she says, when she met Minister Nigel Dharamlall during the course of a pageant, and we can be talking about pageants and how these are being used to facilitate this kind of activity. She was 15 years old when they met. 3 months later, she turned 16. She says that she alleges that she was brutally raped by the Minister of Local Government and Regional Development, Mr. Nigel Dharamlall, and she detailed that in a very long missive. The gentleman was just taking us through his impression of what she wrote. So Irfan Ali, the diplomatic corps, and a number of other persons were named in that missive, and in a lot of details. She went into talking about exactly what happened to her during the course of interacting with the minister leading up to that fateful day when she was viciously raped, as she alleges, by Minister Nigel Dharamlall. A very, very lengthy missive, very, very detailed. Kaiser News told us just yesterday that Nigel Dharamlall, they alleged that Nigel Dharamlall and some other folks went back into that community where this young lady and her parents lived and engaged them. And we're being learned that $10 million was put on the table. Those are some of the allegations that are being made, and they're trying to buy out. They're trying to buy out the folks, buy their silence. That's what we're being made to understand as part of the allegations that are swirling in this whole dastardly act that this 16-year-old young lady is alleging that happened to her. And so the residents, according to Kaiser News, have confirmed that Dharamlall was back in the area trying to put a lid on this story. Yesterday, Irfan Ali came out to say that he had a conversation with Mr. Dharamlall, with his minister, and the minister requested leave. And a lot of folks we spoke to today spoke to this very issue, and you're going to hear some of that just now. The minister requested leave, and he was in agreement. A lot of folks are saying that their finale isn't leading. You're going to want to wait for the closer. You're going to want to stick around for the closer. A lot of folks are saying the president isn't leading. And in a statement, we saw him over the weekend say that his government is committed to having the facts fully investigated. A lot of folks saying they don't like his own conduct in all of this. That statement that came out of the president, reported on by Newsroom, says that that they're going to continue to protect the women and the girls in our society, ensuring their safety and well-being. But a lot of people don't believe that. A lot of people believe that this government don't have the capacity to do that. Mind you, today marks the 1-year anniversary of Sugate. It was 1 year ago today that Isabel Young told us who handles all the agreements, who on the government side, and who has all the support of the government. 1 year later, another scandal we are dealing with, and this is how this country is being governed. From scandal to scandal. This is how this country is being governed. Very, very sad to see. Very, very sad to see. As we said, today we were on the protest line, folks. We spoke with a number of persons. And here's what a few of them had to say.
As a mother and as a woman, these are very troubling allegations. I'm happy to see that at least he has proceeded on leave. But I regret that it had to take public pressure for the president to act in the best interest of our women and children. And the jury is still out on how far they will go to protect our girls and our women, because we need to be kept apprised as to how the investigation is proceeding. We cannot continue to have to rely on social media and social media commentators to understand what is happening with the case. Completely unacceptable. This government must keep the people of Guyana informed. The other issue that concerned me over the last few days, looking at the way this saga has been unfolding, is that I think as a nation, we have to begin to define our non-negotiables. What do I mean by that? When it comes to the protection of our women and children, that must be a non-negotiable. And I am heartened because I look at the crowd that came out here today, and they are across political lines, they are civil society members, there are so many interests represented here today. And it really is sending the message loud and clear that this has to be an issue that Guyanese on the whole, irrespective of where they're from or what is their calling or which side of the political divided they find themselves on, that we have to unite on this issue of protecting our women and our children. So going forward, I expect that the government will be transparent in their investigation, that they will keep the members of the public, the Guyanese citizens, apprised of what is happening every step of the way. And if these allegations against Mr. Dharamlall are found to be true, that he will face the full brunt of the law. No one is above the law. No one is above the law. And President Irfanali has to begin to demonstrate that commitment and that seriousness to the rule of law.
You've come out here today to lend your support. Talk to us.
I've come out here to say that we cannot condone this type of behavior. It is time that we speak up and we speak out against rapists, against injustice, against discrimination in our society. We cannot condone it any longer, so that is why I'm out here. Because we all need to speak up.
I think first of all, I'd want to say that everybody should lend their support to this, because this cannot be the standard that we are accepting as a society. It can't be the standard that we accept as a parent. It can't be the standard that we accept as a politician, as a non-politician, as a citizen of Guyana. This is unacceptable. This could have been anybody's child. And my thing is, it is better to stop it now, because we've had complaints in the past. Allegations made in the past. Nothing came out of those. It just poof, disappeared into thin air. And I would like to commend this young lady, because at least she has the strength to stand up to such a giant. You understand me? I'm sure with all that people are saying and doing, I commend her, because I believe that this will definitely be the opening of the doors, not only for victims who may have been raped or allegedly so by this individual, but also other individuals. It's a moment where strength is given to other persons who were raped in the past, and I commend that. But I also believe that a strong statement needs to be made, that it don't matter what office you hold, it don't matter what powers or religions or alliances or whatever you want to call it, you have to anybody, that rape will not be tolerated by us as a people. So that is definitely what I'd like to say.
As a mother and as a
Folks, a lot of persons are very, very concerned, very, very concerned about what is happening here, about the conduct of the president in all of this. A lot of folks are very, very, very concerned about the conduct of the leader of this country, whether you voted for him or not, whether he's installed or not. Very, very concerned. And every right-thinking Guyanese has every right to be concerned. These matters, these allegations have to be dealt with in the most serious of manners. They have to be. A number of folks have been speaking out. Former First Lady Sandra Granger is one of those persons who have been speaking out. And you know, the quietness of some of the other folks is very telling. The quietude of some of the other folks, tremendously, tremendously telling. The former First Lady says she's very concerned in respects to the allegation made against Mr. Nigel Dharamlall. Listen to what she said. She said, I accept that in a court of law, he is innocent until proven guilty. My concern is the rights of the girl, of this child, of this victim. Who is protecting her rights? Who is protecting her and her rights? Former First Lady Sandra Granger asked. Pictures of her are all over social media with little thought of covering her face. Who's representing and advising her on her rights and protection under the law? Who is counseling her as she deals with this trauma? Even if money is handed over as compensation, the former First Lady says, the accused should face the full might and majesty of the law. Will charges be laid? We now know that the minister has been arrested. And over the weekend as well, we heard from Minister of Education, Priya Manik Chan. We heard from also Vindhya Prasad, the Minister of Social Protection, Social Services. And we learned that the Child Care and Protection Agency initiated that, that clinical interview, they said, with the Blossom Institute, the Blossom Foundation. The Ministry of Education said for its part it has located the victim and that full support was offered to her. You know, a lot of folks have said that the standard operating procedure seems to have gone haywire. And lots of what was done should not have been done. We talk about the silence of some. Minister of Indigenous Affairs, Minister of Amerindian Affairs, Pauline Sukai. This is one of our indigenous sisters, 16 years old, alleging the most vicious rape. And the Minister of Indigenous Affairs, Minister of Amerindian Affairs, over 72 hours and counting, has said absolutely nothing. Has said absolutely nothing. Nothing. The Amerindian People's Association said during the course of the day, for its part, that it was appalled and disgusted at the allegations of sexual assault and grooming of a child leveled against the Minister of Local Government, and called on President Irfan Ali to ensure that an independent investigation is conducted into the serious allegations against the minister. Against the minister. And you know, fingers are being pointed at those who are facilitating. I alluded to that fact early on, that these individuals, you know, with these alleged heinous crimes, they are not, in some instances, acting alone. And Kaito News just today put out a story in which it says a female regional official allegedly is involved in apparently procuring these girls for the appetite of those who got all of this wickedness in them. This is what Kaito News said. Kaito News understands that the minister met the schoolgirl at a regional competition. According to sources, the minister chose her because she was the youngest participating at the event. Kaito News learned that he tried to use other female participants in the same event to lure her to him, but that she was shunned. This is Kaito News reporting. He was sending the girls to call her, and she refused, one source alleged. The schoolgirl eventually won the event, and the minister seized the opportunity to groom her into his trap with the help of a female regional official. Folks, we're telling you, some folks got a lot to answer for. Some folks got a lot to answer for. And the question has to be asked, ladies and gentlemen. The question must be asked. Why is it that a certain quality of individual is always attracted to the People's Progressive Party Civic? A lot of them got equally searing, equally dastardly acts pending against them, and accusations, allegations of the most heinous kinds. And this, again, I would say, is a study in sociology. How is it that one political party can attract all of these miscreants? How is it one political party attracts all of them? One political party. And you know, folks, in addition to that, some very, very serious questions are being asked tonight about the policeman who procured this statement out of the victim. As I said early on, the standard operating procedure, the people who like SOPs, didn't seem to be following it at all in this instance. One person asked on social media, when this young woman went to the police station in Region 2, was she accompanied by an attorney? Did she have a representative there? This is where she allegedly recanted. She said she didn't know anything about this letter that was in circulation, and she didn't make these accusations against the minister. Right, now time has overtaken all of that, but this letter was signed by a superintendent of police, one Kemraj Subaran. And person said, heads have got a role. And in addition to this investigation into the allegations, a far-reaching investigation as independent commission of inquiry has to be launched to all the circumstances surrounding how things have gone haywire. And don't think we didn't see for a second some who went out there today, wanted to talk about local government to get things back on track. Because he's apparently, talking about Mr. Jack Dio, he apparently is being denied his victory lap. And as we on Jack Dio, and whatever that was today on HD, they're telling us he wants Dharamlall to stay. But apparently, Irfan trying to secure his own interest, and Irfan Ali wants Dharamlall to go. So we're being made to understand that that is the tension that is operating currently in the People's Progressive Party Civic. Again, the fact that they could attract and keep these miscreants is a study in sociology. The folks on the protest line today had a lot to say. The protest continues tomorrow in front of the office of the president at 12 o'clock. Today, folks, I saw Guyanese from all walks of life, political, non-political, religious, go out there and take a stand. Because this is madness. And if you all think we're at the brink, well, this is going to tip us over. This is going to tip us over. Here's some about the folks out there in front of the Ministry of Local Government and Regional Development had to say in the course of that protest today.
It's very sad. What was most disgusting and insulting to me, a woman, and as a citizen of this country, is to see the president issue a statement to say that the minister who's implicated, who's alleged to have committed such gruesome act of rape, again alleged, ask the president to have him remove one administrator. That's insulting to Guyanese. And I mean, as a nation, how could we accept this nonsense? The minister can't ask is the minister in charge of the president? For the president to sit on all this information so long without asking him to step aside, you can't go on administratively because this guy is collecting his salary and sitting there. It is very insulting to us as a people. I am disappointed that the churches and other people didn't come out to support this, because if we allow this to go, we don't know who else might be next. This is a child. It's not a woman. She can't give no kind of consent.
Probably more victims too.
Of course. So this needs an urgent investigation, and it must be the government can investigate this. We need to have an independent body to investigate this. In any other country, and this is what is frustrating, in any other country, a minister who is alleged to have committed such gruesome acts against a child would have been fired, period. And then you deal with the law and the courts and you go ahead. But this is a stain on the government, and I don't understand if the president doesn't understand that this is a stain locally and internationally on his government. Does he care?
The world is
fire the man.
The world is not looking at Guyana.
It is very sad. It's so disgusting. I don't know. Some people can sit in their homes and sleep on this. It could be your child. So please, this can't be rubbed under the table. We can't push it under the rug.
So
we don't know who else.
You out here tomorrow again.
It has to happen. I have to be out here, and I hope that I'm encouraging everybody, as every guy needs, whether you have a child or you don't have a child, you need to be out here. Our children must be protected. And if those in authority, government authority, are alleged to be abusing our children, we have to stand. We can't sit. This is serious. Even the police officers should be out here because they have children. Come on. This is serious. We can't sit on this. I'm calling on the military also. Y'all take a stand. You have children. This guy must be fired. I am sorry. I'm emotional because I could not even sit to read the entire thing that was out there because I wanted to vomit. Because I can't take in certain things. I don't read bad words or read certain things. So I couldn't take that in. It's nasty. You don't want a nasty man, alleged nasty man, to be in your government. It's nasty stuff. So we need to protect our children, gentlemen. We need to. Thank you for your time, and I will be out here tomorrow.
I think, first of all, that it's very unfortunate that our country has reached to this stage where in the 21st century we have persons who are serving in high offices being accused of such behavior. It is very, very unfortunate. It's damning, it's shameful, and it's disgraceful. I trust that the system will not fail this young lady. It is very, very unfortunate, the statement that was made by His Excellency the President. I believe that it was a matter of not giving it the full weight it deserves. From the first time I saw this story on social media, I was wondering, where are the people like Minister Vindhya Prasad, Minister of Education Priya Manik Chan, and of course the President himself. But I'm not going to fall short in calling out the Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs also. He has that responsibility as the Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs to provide guidance and advice to the administration. In a situation like this, the Ministry of Social Services should have immediately visited the young lady and tried to give her the necessary protection she wants. I understand what is it that people are saying in terms of be careful how you approach this situation, but at the same time you cannot hide the world from knowing the type of people we have to deal with in this People's Progressive Party administration. These kinds of allegations are not allegations that are new to the People's Progressive Party. There are a number of persons within the People's Progressive Party where such allegations were made and nothing of proper substance came out of it. I understand the legal parameters and how it can basically embarrass the victim and so on. What it requires us as legislators to do is to revisit the legislation and act within the best interest of the victims, and at the same time we should have measures in place where we can expose the perpetrators and take action on what they do immediately. These are disgraceful allegations. They're shameful allegations. The proper and most fit thing for President Ali to do is to relieve Dharamlall of his duties and allow the course of justice to take its course. But more importantly, it requires the legislators to revisit these laws so that this call at a police report has to first be made. It's like, Sherrod, you're causing greater embarrassment. Our system, the Child Protection Agency, has a duty and responsibility. They have to go to this young lady. They have to go to all the young ladies and all the young children. And they have to be the ones to facilitate. You can't leave a vulnerable individual at the whims and fancies. And listen, I wouldn't even attempt to go in to say further about these police officers and how they operate at times to in circumstances like these. Our system has to be fixed properly. We have to ensure it works, and the legislators must put their hands together in protecting our children. Our children are vulnerable. They're the future of our society. They have to ensure that we do what is right for their protection, and we have to stand for them. And I'm out here standing for our children.
I came out here because I'm fearful for my girl child under this present administration. If you have a minister of a sitting government, they're doing these things to our young girls. who else will turn to? Who will trust in this administration? And having the PVP administration saying that the minister take administrative leave, that do not exist in law. A minister appointment is either revoked or he or she resigned. Who these people I'm trying to fool? I said this in my live this morning. Dharamlall should either his appointment revoked or he should be resigned, because to allow justice to prevail, this kind of nonsense what the PP-led administration by Dr. Irfan Ali is showing disrespect to our women in society. I left Shaka, the Minister of Vindi Prasad. She should resign. She should go to, right, because she failed this nation to protect our children under her leadership of the ministry. All these ministers who condone Dharamlall, I wouldn't call him minister, Dharamlall, they're part and parcel of it. You know, we as a Guyanese demand better. And this going after a child, man, is shame. We don't have no morality. A child. I don't know what to say, Sherrod, but this gentleman called me former mayor in a statement. Right? I still hold the office. I will face consequence of what? He's the former minister before me. I'm still the blasted mayor. Right? Dharamlall take eyes and pass this nation. Pass this nation. And he should go. Right? He should go. This is disrespectful to our women. And I hope the women in this country and out of this country is watching on the action of the government, the private sector, the GCCI, the CIOG, the Guyana Hindu Dharmic Sabha, the Guyana Pandits Council, and all these religious organizations. All of them are silenced, not a statement on a sitting minister, accusation, alleged accusation, or whatever. No statement. But when I had called out His Excellency, you see statement Wild West in the papers, on the media. Shame on all these organizations. They're not standing for the people. They're not standing for righteousness. They're not standing for truth. They're no part of a justice system in this country. Shame on all of them.
Thank you. Folks, let's tell you some of what we learned last evening and some of what we know now. Last evening, we learned via the Melissa Atwell Melly Mel page that a clinical interview was done by the Blossom Foundation in Region 2. There's a foundation that handles a lot of these cases of rape. That clinical interview was done. We were made to understand that the child expressed her disappointment in her parents. Expressed her disappointment in her parents and admitted that everything in her first statement, not the Shibaran statement, her original statement, were true. Everything she said in that statement were true. Demwara Wales, in a separate report, reporting on the very clinical interview that was done, said that her original statement was largely consistent with what she said during the course of this clinical interview. And in addition to that, Atwell told us that the child explained how $10 million was paid to her parents in two $5 million tranche. Yep, that's what she said. Two $5 million portion, $10 million. We heard initially about a $10 million offer. And then Atwell again raised that point in a post on social media. Of course, you know, she's been at the forefront of this, pushing this issue forward, and rightfully so. And rightfully so. But here is what we learned today, folks. The current situation as it stands, we are being made to understand that the report is ready. And it's part of why you will have seen that arrest. That report was ready and more than likely handed over to the police, enough for them to make that arrest. We were made to understand earlier in the day that this report had needed the signature of the victim, the police, and the social worker from the Child Care Protection Agency. We made to understand that that has now been done. We were told that the document did not take legal effect until those signatures were affixed, and that all parties would have had to read the statement, read the report, and confirm that it was a true reflection of what was said, and that the NGO had to wait on the directions of the Child Care and Protection Agency. That is part of what we are learning took place today. Some important notes. The statement issued by the victim to the Child Care Protection Agency, we're being told, has officially elevated her to the status of a complainant as anticipated by the Sexual Offences Act. And that secondly, once the report reaches the hands of the police, they must be moved to arrest, which we detailed earlier in our broadcast. And then if arrested and the accused is accorded all of his constitutional rights, it is now over to the Director of Public Prosecutions. That is what we are being told are the next steps. Once arrested, it's in the hands of the DPP. That's what we're being made to understand. And that now the DPP must move to appoint, folks are saying that the DPP should move to appoint a special prosecutors as allowed by Article 187(1) of the Constitution to avoid perceptions of bias. And I'm certain that you who are watching us would agree with us. This case must not be left to police prosecutors, because we understand how the GPF, how the Ghana Police Force works in this country. Another point that was being made to us is that special prosecutors were used in the Bench Cup case, the Oliver Hingston case, the Johansi Douglas case, and others as well. And that, as anticipated by Section 18(1) of the Sexual Offences Act, the accused must be considered a guardian by virtue of the status of the minister responsible, must be accorded, I think that's what it's been there, by the minister responsible for the community in which the victim lives. So all of this is happening, folks. And finally, things you should consider. They're telling us that Section 19(1) of the Act defines a person in a position of trust who regularly who has regular unsupervised contact with the complainant. That's part of what we've been made to understand is the thought process of the authorities going forward. The takeaway here is the next steps, they tell us, is in the hands of the Director of Public Prosecutions. That's what they're telling us. So we wait to see what happens on that front. One will take you back to the process in front of the Ministry of Local Government and Regional Development today. Other voices were raised, folks. Other voices were raised saying that Nigel Dharamlall must go, cannot remain in office. Here's what some of those folks told us.
Well, first thing, Dharamlall should go. He's unfit to hold our public office, and that's a Guyanese. I believe also Dharamlall needs to be arrested to go and face the allegation. I don't care who you're walking with, if it's his lawyer or who. It's an allegation. It's a serious allegation, and Dharamlall, should be made to face these allegations. For me, what is going on in Guyana, it's saddening at this time. We know that we're in troubling times, but to look at how the government is dealing with the situation like this, I mean, the president coming forward and talk about, somebody with a
formal report and evidence and stuff.
Exactly, and nobody then come to you officially and all of that. I mean, it's disgraceful. It's horrible. I believe it is time that the indigenous girls be protected. We have to have some form of safety net for them. And I think it is something that we allowed too long to happen as a nation and as a people. So Dharamlall should go. Dharamlall is a disgrace. Dharamlall loves to disrespect women. Even in the parliament, this is nothing new about Dharamlall. Dharamlall is pushed out there the most deep. Listen, He know how to spread a division, but karma. It's karma facing him right now, Dharamlall. And Dharamlall still got the audacity. I know he put him, but he's here to stay and all of that. Stay where? I believe again and again, this young girl should be protected. Her life is being destroyed. She's damaged. I mean, you got 20 young girls born to death. But to live and have to face this is even worse for this young girl. I hate to see how our Amerindian young women are being treated under this regime. No care, no love. And so I am here today to stand in solidarity with the cause around this country that Dharamlall must go. Dharamlall must go and face the allegation. Must. It is a must.
Thank you very much for listening.
It's a serious allegation that warrants a very full, thorough investigation, especially from a person of a higher office. We have learned that it's not only the first time, and there are several things that is coming through. We have seen this individual behavior in Parliament. We have seen the social media. I can't remember the girl name, but she's from the US and exposing his private and so on. And it's all over the news. And he's continuing this path to be protected by the government. Now, the revelations where the head of state make a point and position that he only saw it, the allegations on the Facebook, where the letter that we saw was addressed to him. And I know the procedure and protocol of the office of president. You're not running a cake shop. And when we were there, when Granger was there, and I was at the public security, when we received a letter from the president, we immediately respond to the president and forward it to the relevant authority, which Commissioner of Police, the OPR, whatever be the thing. And you have to channel back to the president office to see the position you're taking. And these are the procedure. And so you can't wait for a person to fully investigated, a police statement, and you are now accepting, let's say, I will make way, as Comrade says, is a very big cover-up. You're making way to accept a resignation. No, you should have sent him immediately an administrative leave pending investigation, giving the matter of serious allegations, and especially from a serious government official. There's several things that is going through right now. I think the Ministry of Social Protection, the Child Care, has been taking the case, which is a very good thing to do. And then you have an independent. The other revelation that we are disappointed with is that the senior superintendent or superintendent that took that statement as breach of protocols. He should be held accountable and should be under the charge of disciplinary action, because you cannot take an individual like that and go and take a statement. There are procedure and protocol for cases like this. You have to take it away in terms of separate rooms, the same policies that Prema Action made. And as Minister of Education, she made some serious policies and they breached all those policies. And that is some of the things that is very disturbing. And we are calling that he must resign, he must go. You understand me? He cannot be continuing in such a manner as a behavior, especially representing the government and using taxpayer money to go about and do what you wanted to do. It is not a free ride. So the Bureau will continue pressing and press to ensure that proper action and appropriate action be taken. And that is what we have to do, Sheriff.
You have to give solidarity to the little girl that was so exploited. I mean, I'm using euphemisms here, but it is one of the most horrible incidents that could have ever been experienced by any girl. And you know what makes it worse is when people try to do a cover-up. When they attempted to go to the girl's house to go and meet her, and obviously with the intention of doing a cover-up. I am glad that there was an expert from the Social Protection Ministry that did take a statement. Of course, the minister is in serious hot water here. He's in royal trouble. But I would like to see that justice is done. And I feel that justice will be done. He should be immediately be dismissed as a minister and as a parliamentarian. It is not as if we are saying that he got a presumption of innocence, because that is for his criminal trial. At this stage, at the political level, such a fella with these serious allegations and all the attempts he made, he should ensure that he step out of these two institutions, cabinet and the parliament.
What about the police, Mr. London? How confident are you that they can conduct a department?
Well, last night I spoke on that. The police force sent a superintendent to go take a statement from the girl that she was speaking untruths. The police service commission should call in that superintendent and discipline him. You do not do that in the nature of the circumstances of a little child and sexual offenses. The whole tenor of the Sexual Offences Act, as amended and put up by Priyamanik Chan, was that when the children are young like this and vulnerable, you simply cannot just go and get a statement from a policeman. I don't know if the girl made a report that it was not her, but this policeman went and got a statement from her. And today, again, I understand, the policeman got to be in some hot water here too. You do not do that. It was trying to subvert the course of justice, to pervert the course of justice. And I am terribly annoyed. The professionalism of a police force that we tried hard from 2015 to 2020 under all the various reforms that we had. These reforms from the British security sector, all have gone to naught now. All have gone to naught. And look how quick they are to send a superintendent to go get a statement to the girl talking untruth. That girl would have been most uncomfortable there. So I am of the belief that that policeman ought to certainly tell us who instructed him to do that. And if it was on by himself, he should be disciplined.
Folks, believe me when I say that we are in uncharted territory. We are in uncharted territory. Former Minister of Public Security, Mr. Kemraj Ramjatan, just said that he's never seen a case like this. We're in uncharted territory because it's a minister who has been arrested, a sitting minister of government, who has been arrested on the allegation of rape. And as I said to you early on, this protest line had some folks from all hue of life across this country. You were the political folks, there were the social activists, the people who feel passionate about such issues across ethnicities, indigenous people, African Guyanese, Indo-Guyanese. And I saw one of those persons, to tell you where we are tonight, who came out today in protest against the alleged actions of sitting minister of government, Elder Lawrence Haywood. I've never seen him in my life on a protest. I personally have never seen him. I don't know him to be a person with a lot of political, if any, opinions, public or private. And when I saw Elder Lawrence Haywood, who is a Christian brethren, belongs to that denomination, and his wife and his daughter on the picket line today holding up a placard, it said to me, or confirmed to me rather, we're at a crucial juncture, not only as an issue, but in the history of this country. And of course, if he was on the picket line, I had to get a comment from him. Folks, for the closer tonight, Christian brethren, a man I've known for a very long time, Elder Lawrence Haywood, for the closer. Take a listen to what he said on the picket line today. Again, not a man that I know of any great political convictions, religious convictions, tremendous. A father, a husband, a grandfather. He's been a civil servant. I think he's now retired and living quietly serving his God. We found him today on the picket line. This is some of what he had to say. Put it closer.
Sheriff, this is a day after Father's Day. And I'm reminded of the fact that God, our Father, has shown a tremendous interest and identification with the alien, the stranger, the dispossessed, the widow, the orphan. In short, the vulnerable mean a lot to God. And in our country, no grouping seems as vulnerable as our original people, our indigenous brothers and sisters. Whether it's the Madhya fire that highlights and brings to the fore in frightening circumstances the treatment of our indigenous people in the dorms and arrangements made for children in those settings, they not complied with, not adhered to, and then we cry as a nation, we hold our heads seemingly in grief when 20 children die. But you could call that an accident, if you will. You could call it an act of nature. But this is a human catastrophe. This is something caused by somebody who, instead of seeing leadership as a privilege, with an opportunity to serve, would see it as an opportunity to destroy, to use, to mobilize support. Because as I read in the press, the way in which his approach was facilitated, was arranged through beauty pageants or whatever else, tells me that this is not an act of passion. This is not somebody out of control because for some reason they were perhaps using some substance that they could say, oh, I couldn't help myself at the time. This is somebody with a track record of this kind of evil. And don't let's call it anything else. It is wicked. It is evil. And it's not just a case of rape compounded with sodomy. It's the continuous abuse, as if he could sin with immunity and impunity, as if he and those he serves have suddenly become God in the earth. God is not amused. Right-thinking Guyanese are not fooled. I believe that our president has a conscience. I believe that coming from a religion, as with Christianity and Judaism, Muhammad, the religion of Islam, has a very sound moral code. I am looking to the president not just to dismiss this rascal, not just to accede his request to go on leave as if he's doing a gentlemanly thing, but to show in every way possible that he will not allow our children to be abused, our daughters to be violated. God says in the last book of Proverbs, a mother's training her son for reigning. You heard right. Training for reigning. She urges him to stay close to God's law, not just in letter, but in spirit and heart and in attitude and action. And then she became specific and she said, speak up for those who have no voice to speak for themselves. In other words, those without a voice, without a vote, without influence, without seeming impact, vulnerable. You be the person standing up for them. Rescue those being led away to death, we read in that same book in chapter 24. Hold back those staggering towards slaughter. If you say, as we Guyanese tend to do, we didn't know. How could we have found out? You have the evidence. God says he's not amused. He's not fooled and will hold those who are complicit with their silence, with their habit of turning the other way, of sweeping under the carpet. God says it wouldn't work. I'm calling on our president, particularly in light of his being blessed with a child on Father's Day, to show that he has a heart, that he will not be used by those around him who might be saying, but others around us are being protected too. Stand, sir. Show yourself a father, man, and a leader, and distance yourself as a shepherd from wolves, from predators, from those who have no regard for anything except their libidinous urges, their tendency to depravity, which we had an inkling of in Parliament, but we won't go there. Thank you very much.
That's our time, good folks. And that's our program. As I head to bed tonight, I'm going to contemplate long and hard on those words by a religious man, non-political. I'm going to contemplate again, as I've been doing all afternoon after listening to him, where we are as a nation and who has us here and where we should be. That being said, folks, that's our time tonight. And that's our program. Thanks for joining us.